Hey everyone, Nick from Nick's Crossing here, and welcome back to the train room on this beautiful Christmas morning. And today, guys, I want to showcase one of my favorite pre-war style sets, tin plate sets, and that is this locomotive and tender right here. This monster that's now permanently attached together. Look at this thing. This is the Reproduction Hiawatha set from 1988. Now, guys, I have showcased this locomotive and set on my channel before, but that was before I did all the crazy upgrades that I've done to this set. Now, disclaimer, guys, this is a reproduction set from 1988, and I would never do this to an original 1935 set. So now this one had a lot of issues that we'll talk about, and I knew that at the time of purchasing this locomotive, and it would be a project engine. So anyways, guys, let's get into this. Here we go. All aboard. Alrighty, guys, so this time of year, I love running tin plate trains and also pre- and post-war stuff. Right here, we have a classic set that I've always enjoyed since I was a young little lad, and I remember seeing this set for a brief second on A Christmas Story. So here are some pictures I took on the big screen downstairs of two shots of the Hiawatha set going around. Now, knowing this movie came out in the early 80s, that means that this is an original Hiawatha set with two cars. It does have the beaver tail car and another coach in that set, but it is the streamlined set. So I thought that was really cool. They also have that Union Pacific, turbine thing or jet train going around, and a couple other post-war locomotives pulling some post-war cars. But I noticed that as a kid, I'm like, wow, what's that orange thing going around the track? And this is like before the internet and all that. I had to look them up in books, and I'm like, oh, that's called a Hiawatha, or you go to the Toy Train Museum and find out what it was. So since then, I've always wanted one of these, and at I believe it was the first Thaw show last year, or the Frost show of last year, I bought this set, and the gentleman that sold it to me is a viewer of the channel, and he told me, he's like, dude, this thing has a gremlin in it, you're going to have a time with this, and I accepted the challenge and paid an excellent price for the set. It did not have the box, which is fine, but it's just a very simple running engine. It was just missing a lot of things, like pickup rollers on the front. The other rear pickup roller was frozen. Also, it had a lighting problem with the ground. Like, the grounds on here are horrible because they painted over everything, so it does not have a very reliable ground. What was a couple other things? The eccentric cranks on the front, guys. This is going to break some of your guys' hearts. Some of them were frozen, and when I spun the engine around the track the first time, they broke off. So I ended up taking both eccentrics off. I know it's a huge cringe moment, but now the engine runs a heck of a lot better. And with the shrouding on the front, you would never even notice it. So it does have the cranks going around, a typical steam engine going on the track, but the eccentric cranks are both broken off and missing or whatever. So a couple things, guys. When I got it home, I also noticed that the E unit, which is your reverse unit, would trip anytime it hit like the slightest bump. And it was an original LTI reverse unit, E unit, and it just was faulty. So I tore that out, and I was like, what do I do now? Like, what the heck am I going to do with this engine? Well, I came up with the bright idea of putting in TMCC. So I went through the almighty eBay, and I think I bought it on Trains. I got an AC Commander. A couple things with that. I didn't take into account this whole shell is made of tin or gunmetal or whatnot, and signal would be a nightmare for these tin plate sets. Once you upgrade them, guys, the TMCC uses radio signal, and if you put an antenna inside a metal box, it basically becomes a shielding. So I probably went through like 12 to 15 different antenna styles for this engine before I got anything to work like how it's going to work today in this video. So it was kind of annoying doing that, and I had many people reach out to me like, why don't you put plastic stanchions for the handrails? And I'm like, nah, I'm just going to figure something out. So I'll show you what I did for this. It's not very obvious, but it works great, and I plan to put more antennas in the engine and all that, which I'll go through when we get the engine on our tracks here. But like I said, guys, this engine honestly was a project engine. It needed a lot of parts, needed some rewiring, which it's all done because of the AC Commander, which is great. So the sound set in this locomotive is actually the sound set off of an ERR daylight board. Now, the reason I went with that is because the daylights had a horn. Now, these Hiawathas were also built with a horn. They thought they were going so fast a whistle would not be sufficient at level crossings, so they decided to put a horn on this engine. It's like a Typhoon style horn, a little bit higher pitched than a Typhoon. For any of you guys out there, a Typhoon horn's very similar to like a GG1 or like an RDC sounding horn. So I thought that'd be kind of cool to get that sound set on here. It just does like a simple horn blast, but it definitely gets the point across. A couple other things with the Atlantics that they built for the Hiawatha train set. This was actually the latest Atlantic ever built in the 1930s. It's also meant to have like the largest drivers ever. The boiler pressure is 300 psi, and they could travel and maintain 100 miles per hour for their daily use. That was the biggest thing with these sets. That was the biggest requirement by the Milwaukee Road, is that the Hiawatha must travel at 100 miles per hour and be maintained. So a lot of crazy engineering went into this locomotive. I know later on they would come up with the Hudsons that would retire, I believe, engines 1 through 4. That was their engine numbers, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And eventually they would run those out until the 1950s, 1960s. They replaced them with diesels. And I believe that train set went through as an electric as well towards the end of the 60s from what I read. So I thought that was very interesting. I did more of a history on the original review of this engine, which will be down in the description of this video if you guys are interested. So let's get this engine on the tracks and show you all the crazy stuff that I did to this engine. All right, guys, so here's the side of the locomotive. So the eccentric would actually connect from here. There's this part that dangles down, and then it would connect to our main drive rod right here, and that would just rotate back and forth. So without it, you don't really miss it. There's really not a whole lot going on just because of the engine shrouding. But yeah, it is a little bit of a detailed part. But they both actually had zinc pest, so when one snapped, the other one was very, very flimsy. It fell off during a run session up here, and after that I just took a Dremel, shaved off the rest of the eccentric off this bolt right here, and nut assembly. So it is what it is. It's sad, and I did look for replacement parts, but they're very hard to find. And also, everything's riveted. So this eccentric here was riveted. Then the part it connected to up here near our cylinder was also riveted in place. So if you did get the parts, you would have to rivet everything back together. I don't have the capabilities to do that. But like I say, you really don't miss it. As this engine goes down, it's just cool to see the main drive arm just going up and down on the drive wheels. So a couple things about this set, guys. Let's give her some power. Let's turn on our transformer and show you guys what I did to this thing. Now, up front, we do have lighting. So originally there was just one light bulb that would power the whole shell. So you'd see the light barely peeking through our markers. Then up here where the headlight's at, I installed LEDs. So it's got an LED for the headlight that shines down through a lens. And then also there's two LEDs facing out towards us for our marker lights to illuminate those a lot better. Now, a couple things, guys, on the locomotive. I'm kind of regretting not putting in a cab light, but all my wiring for the AC commander is shoved up here in the cab. And then above our trailing truck here, there's a plate that comes down with the little ladder to get up, or basically our step point. That kind of keeps all this wiring inside of this compartment. So if there's a light in there, you would definitely see all the wires shoved up in there. So we'll just keep it dark for now. Now, if you look between the engine and the tender, there is a huge wire right here. Now, I had to install this, guys. I did have to drill a hole in the back of the shell of the Hiawatha and also the back of the tender. Now, what this wire does, this supplies all of the electricity and also the commands for the motor to move. So the boards are inside the tin plate shell right here, and all that goes towards our engine here. So instead of having a removable tether, I just straight wired everything together. Now, the only reason why I did that is just because I didn't feel like making a tether or buying a tether, and I just thought it looked a lot better just having a wire between the gap of our locomotive and tender. On top of that, guys, everything's metal, so it is kind of hard to mount a tether on something that's metal. I have to insulate it from the shell so it doesn't blow up or short out. Now, another thing, guys, our tender has holes cut in the bottom for the speaker, and also there is a magnetic switch for one of the wheels to get our chuff sounds. So it's just everything you have to do basically for a TMCC upgrade from ERR. So this engine works great. So let's fire it up. I'm gonna show you guys how responsive she is. Look at this. Runs great. There's that whistle, and I'm not a huge fan of ERR's whistle choices. So I've purchased medium steam and large steam. I think everything just sounds like 611 or a big boy going down the tracks. Now this is the daylight sound set, so you get the whistle, bell. The bell is very nice. Rings through quite nicely. And then we also have our crew talk, the cheese talk as I call it.
How's that track look? Are we clear? Over. Affirmative, the track is yours. Over.
So you also get number 7,
Dispatcher here. You're cleared onto the main. Over.
And it should respond.
Roger that. All clear. Out.
Now, the take the cake sound is the horn. So, like I said earlier in this video, the Hiawathas were equipped with a horn over top of a whistle because they're worried at high speeds you would not hear a whistle. So here's the horn. It sounds like ridiculous, and I love it. And it's just that quick blast. You can't like coil it or anything, but it's number 6 on the remote. So, just kind of a cool touch with the Hiawatha having a horn. Now the chuffs, guys, like I said, when this thing gets going, you barely hear it, but look at this. And then the brake sounds are awesome with this as well. Now, that's just pushing and pulling, but if we give it some power here, hear that AC motor crank up. And then it just wants to fly. And it's extremely responsive. Alright guys, so now it's time to talk about our Milwaukee Road Hiawatha cars. Now these are right out of the reproduction of the pre-war style cars. Now these are all vestibuled together, creating a streamlined set. So cool. Aerodynamic fleet. And get my favorite car at the end, the Beaver Tail. Now, I'm really confused why Lionel did not upgrade the lighting for these cars. So guys, as you can see, I left the incandescent bulb for the Beaver Tail still in place. Now how these lights worked, before I gutted everything out, was that there's a pickup shoe underneath the truck, and you would get an incandescent bulb in each vestibule. So, as you can see, that light barely lights half the car, and then this light in this vestibule would light like up to this window and up to like that window there, and then same with this vestibule right here. It would light up to about right here and right there. So I was so confused why Lionel just did not assign a vestibule to a car and then wire up multiple lights for each car, like put 2 or 3 incandescent lights per car to illuminate the whole set. They went the old school route. They did not upgrade anything. So I thought it was kind of lame. And also the lights would lose power all the time. So they would constantly flicker because each light was only powered by one pickup shoe. So instead of having, you know, all 3 shoes wired together with some type of connector, they would just flicker on and off. So it's kind of annoying. Even on like straight track, if it got any type of dirt, it would just flicker. So the only original bulb I left was at the end for the Beaver Tail, and that's because it has these red marker gems in the back that look so cool. That kind of gives you an idea of what the car would be lit. So it'd be like lit up to that window. Just kind of lame for such a beautiful set. So what I decided to do, guys, was totally mod this set. And it's in great shape. There's a little bit of water damage on the bottom. So inside of this end cap here, we have a lot going on. So we have a power board that actually just converts AC to DC. So whatever the track power is, it's going to translate that to DC. So we usually run this around 18 volts. So it's going to make 18 volts DC, essentially. Now the max voltage on the light board is 24 volts. I very rarely run at 24 volts. Unless it's like really old pre-war stuff. None of my newer stuff runs at that. So it's safe. That board connects to an LED strip that goes all the way to the end of this car here. Then this pickup shoe here is also wired to our LED board. And also we have 2 grounds. We have this grounded out, then also this truck set grounded. So we get nice steady lighting. And how each car is wired, we just have a, let me turn the power off so I don't blow this out. But if we disconnect our vestibule here, we have this black wire that's plugged into another LED strip. So rejoin these cars, you just push the magic button, and there we go, they're joined together. So each strip's connected with a tether cable, and then for just reliability, I took off this pickup shoe to make this truck roll a little bit better, without friction. And then we have another LED light bar tether essentially to go to this car. And then we have our pickup shoe at the end for the beaver tail lights. Now when you give these cars power, this is what they look like. So right here, guys, this is what I wish these cars looked like out of the box. Just nice incandescent style lighting, just beautiful, beautiful yellow lights. Nothing too crazy, but instead we got the really lame lighting right out of the box. Now the cool thing is with this remote, we can do any color we want. We could do white lights, which is more like a bluish color. It looks white on camera. We get the whole colors of the rainbow. So we can go red, green, purple, and this is actually one of my favorite colors here, the blue. We have a different color, peach, pink, red, which looks great with the lights off. Orange looks awesome with this set because they're orange cars. And it is not picking up like it is in person on camera here. But we pretty much get every color of the rainbow. Now the other thing too, you get auto mode. Now this goes into like a party mode. This shifts through all these different cycle of lights, which is great for like running in the dark under a Christmas tree up here in the train room. So I really do enjoy seeing this set of lights go down the track with the auto or party mode, as I call it, going on. They just look super cool. So this is a project I wanted to do to pretty much breathe life into this set, make it a little bit more exciting, and also fix the lighting issues. Instead of putting in normal incandescent light bars, I wanted something a little bit more fun, because it is a pre-war set, guys. We're supposed to have fun with these, and I think this set just really knocks it out of the park.
How's that track look? Are we clear? Over. Affirmative, the track is yours. Over. Roger that. All clear. Out.
Alrighty guys, so that's going to do it for this Hiawatha review part 2, and hopefully you guys enjoy the upgrades and such on this reproduction model. It was a lot of fun building this thing and changing things out, but it was quite the headache, and I really rarely give up on any of these projects. I just keep on hitting my head against the wall until eventually my head just goes through the wall. So this was definitely a fun project. Not easy, not for the faint of heart, but it does look great. And I love those cars, guys. They're just so beautiful. With the lights off up here, they light up the entire room. It is just amazing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment below. If you're interested in that original review, that will be in the description of this video. Anyways, guys, have a great rest of your Christmas season. And be safe out there. Until next time, everyone, happy railroading. We'll see you next time. See you guys.